Hey guys, what's up? It's Mel here, and today I want to talk to you guys about MapleStory music. And I know it's been a while since I last made a MapleStory video, so I really want to do something fun with you guys. So today we're gonna play a game. Basically, I downloaded a bunch of random MapleStory soundtracks and I compiled it into a playlist in my iTunes. All I'm gonna do is hit play on my keyboard, and whatever song comes up, I'm gonna let you guys know the first memory that comes to my mind. And what I want you guys to do is follow along. So whether it's on your laptop or on a piece of paper, let me know in the comments below if we have the same memories, because I think it's really interesting how we all kind of started around the same time, maybe around 06, 07, and a lot of us have the same experience playing MapleStory, even though we didn't necessarily play together. The whole game and community was really fun. Okay, that's enough talking, let's get started. Song number 1. Kerning City. I don't know, whenever I think of Kerning, I always feel like badass. I don't know why, it just makes me feel like I'm like a gangster or something, going like So the first memory that comes to my mind is probably killing octopuses. You know how when you're in the main Kerning map, but then you go to the left portal, and then there's like this huge like garage type of thing, like there's different levels, and I remember just grinding on the octopuses, grinding on the I'm gonna play the next song. Perion. The first memory that comes to my mind when I think of Perion is killing the tree stumps. I don't know, I like whenever I think of the old memories, or whenever I hear the old MapleStory soundtracks, I always think of me training, because it was so hard back then, and a lot of my time was spent killing the monsters. To be honest, I never really liked Perion that much. Maybe it's because it was so far from every other town, and I don't have anything against warriors, but I never really liked to play that class because I felt like the equipment wasn't that good looking. It was always just like chunky armor and like hiding your face. Okay, next song. Orbis. On the ship. I don't know, listening to the soundtracks just make me really happy because it makes me think of me being a child again. I still think I am, kind of, even though I got older. I always feel like I'm still a kid at heart. The soundtrack definitely reminds me of just waiting on the ship with friends. I remember going on the Orbis ship was also a washroom break for a lot of people, and it'd be so scary when you're like still in the washroom, but then when you come out, you're in the second map where Balrog is supposed to be, and you're like, oh shit, like what if he came and killed me because I was in the washroom. Henesys. Henesys hunting ground, for sure. The soundtrack reminds me of just being in Henesys, like walking around and seeing people going like buying fame, selling fame, Mezzos vlogs, a lot of henny hoes, drop games. I also remember when MapleStory wasn't as user-friendly or like noob-friendly. You know how like when you start MapleStory now, there's like a bunch of arrows telling you where to go and where the portals are? But back then, hidden streets and hidden portals were a lot of fun to just find on your own. For example, you know in Henesys, there's that like orange orb thing with the stick, and if you click up on it, you can teleport from one end to the other. Back then, they didn't have like the aura thingy around it, so you didn't know it was a teleportation tool until you found out yourself. Which I think is really cool because it's like secret hacks in the game. I just think that because MapleStory tells everyone where the portals are, it's not as fun anymore because it takes away from like the exploring element of the game. I don't know, that's just my opinion, but alright, anyways, next one. Free market? You know, one of the biggest dreams I wanted as a kid was to have a MapleStory shop in the free market, but my mom was really against game cards, so I never got to buy NX myself, except for that one time. If you guys go back to this video, then you'll see what happened. But yeah, I never got to set up a shop, and now I feel like I'm not engaged enough in the game to like sell anything that's actually valuable, so the free market was just a really fun place for everyone to gather around and buy and sell. Probably taught you a lot about economics. Why am I... Oh my god. I remember there's this meme on Facebook. Yeah, anyways. Just randomly want to bring that up. I just think it's really funny how back then everyone used to put a bunch of ad signs to make the chat bubble go higher, and everyone would just be like jumping around places, and it'd just be like a swarm of people, like a mob of like MapleStory characters going like I don't know. Sleepywood. Sleepywood definitely reminds me of the sauna. What's his name? Mr. Sweatbottom? Yeah. everyone would just go to the sauna and just sit there and relax in the relaxer chair and wait for their HP to heal. It was just a really fun place for people to chill and talk to one another again. I don't know, the more I think about it, MapleStory and its social aspect was what made the game for me, and I think a lot of you guys as well. I remember back then relaxer chairs were one of the only chairs in MapleStory too, but now there's like 100 billion chairs that I can't keep up with. Yeah, I just miss those simple times. Nath. When I listen to the Nath soundtrack, I think of me climbing down the Orbis tower. I remember it was such a trek back then. The monsters were so high level, and I think for Nath, what people went there the most for was to get snowshoes. Alright, what's next? Damn, Amoria. The song reminds me of the Amoria Beauty and Beast hair quest because I used to do that all the time, like collecting the squishy liquids and going to get a haircut. I never actually got to go to a MapleStory wedding because none of my friends were in a relationship or just didn't buy NX. So yeah, I've yet to go to a MapleStory wedding. Ludi! Oh my god, it's Lego World. Okay, Ludibrium reminds me of teddy bears. Back then, they were a lot easier to kill than they were now. Ludi also brought you down to that other pathway, the other map, where it was like darkness. And just going down Ludi Tower too. I remember that brought you to Omega Sector, which is like a whole other thing. I think back then I actually knew more about the Maple world than I did about the real world because I'm really bad at geography, but MapleStory world, like I remembered everything. Next. Mulang. This reminds me of doing the dojo and also just going to Mulang when you sat in that like red sack, not a sack, a cloth with the geese like flying you. You guys know what I mean. Next. Cash Shop. Oh my god. Okay, so the Cash Shop brings back a lot of memories because as you guys know, I couldn't really buy NX and I didn't really have a lot. So I spent a lot of time just playing dress up in the Cash Shop and saving things to my wish list, even though I couldn't buy it. I remember I really liked the black visor. I thought it was super cool. And I always wanted a pet with item and muscle magnet. That was like my biggest dream too. I really wanted the husky or the white rabbit. Okay, next. Ellinia, the treetop. This reminds me of killing slimes in the tree. I don't know what it is about that tree. That's one slime tree in like the left corner of the map where it used to be. That was like the #1 spot where people would always ask each other to CC. And finding a panlid back then was so hard. And when we did find one, it was like, yes, I got like the best shield ever. Okay, next. Lith Harbor? Holy. The soundtrack just reminds me of killing the red snails outside of the right portal. Well, that's my first memory, but I remember this is where the John guy was, the most annoying dude that gave you the jump quest in Sleepywood, and you'd only get 15 screws as a reward. Like, what are you supposed to do with that as like a noob? Moving on. Happyville! I don't know, this map makes me really happy because it reminds me of Christmas and being in Happyville. I remember there was a Christmas quest that allowed you to get, you know, the Santa hats with the antlers and also the red Rudolph nose. Aqua Road. Honestly, I don't remember much about killing anything in Aqua Road. I just remember swimming around and like having fun in the main map. Florina Beach. This was actually one of my favorite soundtracks from MapleStory when I was a kid. I just think of like seashells and like sand. Alright, so that's all the MapleStory soundtracks I have for today. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that video and let me know in the comments below what your memories were. I'm actually really curious because there's so many. Like just thinking about it, whenever I hear a song, there's a memory that comes to my mind, but then there's another one and I'm like, which one do I want to talk about? Anyways, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button so you guys can stay tuned for more. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!